What's up? It's a nice setting, Greg. I hope you didn't say any nasty words there, because Oh no, if you did, we didn't hear you.
It's better than Miami, I can tell you that.
There you go. Well, really good to be back from a successful trip. In a very difficult situation. It was a hard game to play, just because of the humidity, and hard for both sides, I think. But we were very fortunate that we got out of there in pretty good shape, and we got to do some recovering from the trip and all that. But it was a real successful day on the road again, and I'm liking that the way we're playing has been consistent enough to get us wins, with a lot of room to get better. And there's so many areas for the players and for the coaches to work on, with stuff that we can improve on. We've got a good feeling about that, and looking forward to getting back out there again, having a good week, and get cranking and see if we can keep rolling.
Corbin.
Hey, Pete, Ryan Neal's made some critical plays for you guys, replacing Jamal Adams. He had a fairly strong training camp. Have you been surprised, though, with how he's played these last couple games? And when Adams comes back, do you see him having a role in some sub-packages now?
What I'm surprised at is how he made the transition, and so comfortably, and he hasn't played a lot of football, so you're not sure what's going to happen when he gets into game time. But he's really carried his preparation to the game field, and looked very comfortable and at ease and aggressive, not hesitant at all. And he's played smart, played good, solid football for us. So that's just a really good sign. He has made a statement about that there's a place for him to play some. So we'll see how that works in the future. For right now, he's playing, and I'm really happy about that. Really happy for him too. He's a great kid.
John Boyle.
Yeah, Pete, you've on a bunch of occasions brought up special teams and just the way that unit's playing across the board. Anything specific that went into that this offseason? Is it just some of those young guys maturing that kind of in all phases of special teams, it seems to be pretty clean?
It seems like second-year guys have improved. Homer in particular, he's had influence. He's just such a good player in general. He's done a nice job for us. He's such a good mentality guy on your special teams, but he's just right in the middle of all of it. Leadership from Ballur and Nico has been solid. Just our guys kicking together again, both doing a really good job in both aspects of the kicking part of it. The discipline of staying out of the penalty situation has really helped us too. They've been great in that regard. So we haven't given up anything to our opponents so far, and so it's just been really, really solid. And it's just such a good part of your team whenever you can count everything. We got our hands on a couple kicks. Mayo got a finger on one early, and Trey got one last week, and so we're just some cool stuff happening, and we really haven't even had any big plays occur yet for us in the returns yet. So it's been a really good part of our game. But to answer your question, no, coming out of the COVID Zoom season, who would have known? You didn't know until we got out there and got going.
Masvida.
Hey, Pete, just wondering what you saw out of Trey Flowers. He played all 71 snaps on defense, got 7 tackles.
Yeah, played a good solid game. Kept the ball in front of him real nice, and one ball getting in behind him. He had a real chance at one play that Fitzpatrick made a real nice throw on. But he played a good solid football game. We adjusted some. We had to make some adjustments, and we did. And the style of our play in general just improved, and Trey went along with that.
Tim.
Hey, Pete, no penalties yesterday, no accepted penalties. Do you see that as an emphasis that you guys have had, or do you find as a result of maybe how the games are being called these first 4 weeks and officials letting them play?
No, I think we can probably count on no penalties here for quite a few weeks coming up here. I don't even know. I don't know if we ever done that before. I don't think we have. I don't know. I was really fired up about that. we were so bad here a few weeks ago that I made the point, let's just get the average, and challenge the guys to see if we can get in the middle somewhere. We jumped all the way in the top 10 here, so we're excited about that in terms of penalties. It's a really important part of the game for just playing really clean football. It makes you hard to beat when you don't make those kinds of mistakes. I would say that this is a new day in officiating. It feels different, and I really like it. They're letting us play, and the game is flowing well. I think there's just a clear sense that you got to do something egregious, and if you do, then they're going to get you, and if you don't, then we're playing on. And so I like that like I've said before, I like that when the officials have that kind of influence on the game in that manner where they don't over influence it, and so I like it. Hope we can keep going.
Curtis?
Did I get in trouble with how I said that? Okay.
No.
Okay, good.
Pete, Greg Olson's been a pretty comfortable safety blanket already for Russell through these first few games. Are you kind of surprised just how quick that's ticked off and how well they've been able to develop that so quickly?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. To see Greg, jump into a new program like this and fit in. But he invested a lot to get this done, and as did Russ, in the off season. These are two guys that had we had an off season, boy, they'd be ripping right now because they both care so much and it's so important to them, and they're both so smart and they communicate so well that in the time they were able to spend together in the summertime, you can see the progress that they made. Russ has great trust in Greg, exemplified really by that throw that he made to him going up the sidelines. Again, he did last week, he did again this week, with back turned by the defender, and he ripped the ball in there right on the edge of the end zone to give Greg a chance. The ball got knocked out by another defender, but that's trust and that's belief. And also, you notice he's gone to him. I mean, just look at the 2-minute drive, and he went to him a couple times, and that's just kind of the rapport that they're establishing. And I think if you're asking if I'm surprised by it, not really, not because of the way these two guys approach the game, and they're such great professionals. And then they put in the time too, so it's paying off. And I think maybe it's a pretty fast start, to see in the games like this, but they've earned it by the way they've worked.
Michael Sean?
Hey, Pete, when it comes to the rotations on game day, like when you're swapping linemen or receivers or running backs, are you subbing guys in and out, or are your position guys doing it?
No, we've already talked about that, how we're doing it, and it's up to the assistant coaches to do that. The coordinators don't even do that unless they call for somebody for a specific, so it's basically the assistant coaches. They have to have a plan in mind to get that done. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you plan it. It doesn't always go as you hope. The mix of the game, the timing, the way things happen, the plays that occur, they can influence you along the way. Yesterday, our guys did a really good job. We made a big deal because of the conditions. We wanted the guys to have a chance to get a breather in there, and wanted it to happen sooner than later in the game so that a guy would feel comfortable about putting a guy back in, thinking that it might take 2 or 3 times to spell a guy, depending on how difficult it was. But I was really glad that it happened. It's really good for our team, for guys to get the chance to play too, and that'll help us. And hopefully we can keep doing it.
In conditions, you're referring to like the humidity was subbing like guys like Cedric and
Yes.
DeMarco and
Yep.
Brandon and Damon.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys could tell. It was a really sticky day, and even though it didn't feel like the sun was bearing down on us, it was a really thick air day, and both sides felt it. That was a real endurance challenge for everybody. Particularly, I felt great. I didn't have any problem with it, but
Nico?
I almost went there. Yes. What's up?
You're muted,
Nico, you're off, dude.
or you've lost your voice.
I got it. Yeah, I got muted. Sorry about that. I was just saying, obviously the team continues to win, but that's another quarterback that goes over 300 yards. I know you've answered it before in terms of, how these things happen, but do you feel like the team is giving up that many yards scheme-wise, or is it personnel, or what do you think?
That's a good question. That's a good way of asking it. Yeah. It's more the situation than anything that why the yards are so egregious, and they're so big. We've been ahead, and we really haven't slowed the teams down well enough. We haven't got off the field well enough in third down situations in those sequences late in the game, and it's really, you just got to get off the field. You got to get the third down and you got to get out, and not being able to do that has really allowed these guys to really stack it up on us. But to ask you asked about scheme or personnel, I think it's a little bit of both. We need to find our ways to get off the field by helping our players with the calls. But also, we've had a lot of guys going through there, and we've made some errors, in just the little things that you need to do against players and quarterbacks that have really taken advantage of it. The guys have been pretty sharp so far. So, when you look at the end yesterday, and Fitzpatrick was having a great start to this season. He's a 62% efficiency guy on the day. I don't mind that. Whatever the yards are. He was not. We really should have had 5 interceptions yesterday, and we had 3 balls right to us. And so the day should have been different than it wound up stat-wise. But when they're playing catch-up, through the fourth quarter, they're going to put some yards on there, and I like to get off the field, but it's been a little bit tough, and so we're continuing to work. Yesterday was a better day for us, though. We improved yesterday.
Thanks, Pete.
Art?
Speaking of defense, Pete, you guys obviously had success on drives, turning touchdown drives potentially into field goals 5 times. You said this morning that you thought maybe in previous weeks you overshot things. Is that a reference to the blitz packages and maybe Jamal Adams' tendency to try to be everywhere at once?
No, it had nothing to do with Jamal, other than the fact that we liked pressuring with him, because he's such an explosive player. But what happens when you pressure, you change your ratios, in coverage, and there's more space on the field. And if you don't get home, you don't cause an effect on your opponent, then they get a chance to make some more yards. It happened 2 weeks ago on 2 different plays when they ran touchdowns in on us because we had we're -1 defender in their coverage, and they took off and run. We couldn't get them on the ground. But that's just ball, and that's nothing new. We didn't get after it as much this week, though. We did change that and didn't feel like it was necessary in this game to go there. But let me say this too, it does have something to do with Jamal in that he's an incredible pressure guy, and we love sending him and all that. So, but we changed it by design, and is to make sure that we just slowed it down. We just need to do a better job, and so we did.
Joe?
Do you have an update on Jamal or Quentin for this week?
Quentin was running today and working out today. I won't know till tomorrow how that worked out, and he's trying to get back for this weekend. Jamal's not able to yet. I'm going to hold out hope, and I don't know Jamal real well in these situations, and I know he's dying to get back. He's been sending me messages and stuff, how much he wants to play and get out there and all that, but we'll have to wait and see how that works. It's just too early in the week to know.
Did you by chance see Jamal wearing his helmet at home? Watching you guys, you see that he tweeted a picture of saying he was.
No, I missed that. Dog, I'd love to see that. He had his helmet at home.
Standing in front of his TV, he's got his helmet on, so he was pretty much live tweeting the whole game, giving you guys some love.
I remember sleeping, with my helmet on back in the day, so I can appreciate that. That was before I was in New England, I think.
Adam?
I made that up.
Pete, New England's playing without its starting quarterback tonight, and we know how diligent you've been. The whole program there has been with protocols and procedures. I'm curious, though, at that quarterback position, what those protocols have been like for Russ here these past couple months, and if that's something you feel like deserves or needs special attention there.
Well, it's an interesting topic. We've talked all about it throughout the offseason. How do you handle the quarterback position, and knowing how vital it is to your team. What if that room gets hit and everybody gets quarantined? That's a big consideration. And I haven't seen anybody. I'd heard a couple teams were talking about doing some different things and some creative things with that. But first off, there's nobody more diligent about wearing his mask than Russell. He's been great at it. He wears it to practice. He's going up and down with his thing all the time, in the huddle and out of the huddle and all that stuff. He's been really diligent about it. So we're working hard to try to protect, and by doing a great job across the board in general for everybody, because it doesn't happen to be just the quarterback. But I think this is a remarkable instance for us to watch and to see how they did this, because for New England to have their quarterback get sick and nobody else gets sick is incredibly well done. And matter of fact, I'd sent a message to Coach Belichick to talk to him about it. We hadn't had a chance to visit yet, how they got that done, because that's being right in the middle of all of everything, and in the huddles and all that kind of stuff, and they huddle, and so that's just a remarkable job they did, and hats off to them. So we all need to learn, and hopefully he'll call back and want to talk about it, because I'd like to figure out how we can make sure and have, if somebody gets sick, heaven forbid, that we can keep it so nobody else does. That's incredible, because we saw the other side of it, with the Titans and how they got hit. So another thing, while we're on the COVID thing, it's an interesting illustration too of Tennessee played Minnesota, and guys played in that game that seemed like they were had the COVID thing coming up, and Minnesota did not get it in the game, and they made it this far, made it all the way through the week. That's another remarkable illustration of what we can expect, because we're learning all this stuff for the first time, and means that just because one team had it didn't mean the other team got it in the course of the game, and so we just keep logging this stuff and try to figure it out, and maybe we're fortunate enough that in that setting it doesn't get transferred. I don't know. We're learning.
Greg?
That wasn't really what the question you asked, though, was it? He said, I think he waved us off.
It's too much for you, Greg? You're emotional?
Teared up with that last answer. Okay.
Bob?
Pete, KJ Wright has obviously been a great player for a really long time. Is this about as well as he's ever played these last few games in the start?
He sure has been. He sure has been really active. Playing out on the edges really, it seems to put him in positions to see some things, a little bit differently, and he's able to, be a factor on a lot of stuff. So we're really excited about it, and we've got to get him catch the football. But other than that, he was all over it, and played a great game. And he has been playing very active football for us. Yeah, you're right, and so I'm really happy with his his production.
And you mentioned putting him out on the edge a little bit. I mean, is that obviously he did that a little bit earlier in his career? And is that just kind of something that worked this year with the personnel you had to kind of make it do that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, when KJ has, over the course of his career, he has played an outside backer on the line of scrimmage position, over the years at times. And when we first got him, we started him there, outside, and then we moved him back inside. He had asked if we could take a look at him inside, and we did, and it worked out great. But when Bruce was here, we realized that the factor that Bruce gave us and his expertise might be best followed up with KJ, if that would ever come to that. So we'd had the conversations early on. KJ spent a little bit of time working on the stuff. He knows the system and the defense really well, and so when we lost Bruce, that's when we moved him, and he's been a great teammate about that, and said, well, do whatever you want me to do, and he's played really well, and so we're excited about that.
Ben?
How's Rashad doing? Is he still kind of on track to come back right after the bye? And then also, do you have Darrell Taylor made positive progress at this point?
Yeah, I was with Rashad today in the weight room as he was testing, and he was just about back. I mean, he was a half of a centimeter off in the measurement of his quad, which is remarkable that you ever even get that close. He's working really hard. He's running hard. I can't tell you that 2 weeks from now, it'll be 3 weeks from now, that he's ready to go. I don't know that. But what I have told you is we're not going to rush him. We're going to make sure that he's back and he's really fully, returned to full strength and full speed and all of that. Knowing such a long season, we got all kinds of time yet, and so but he's really hopeful, I know, and so we'll see how that goes. Darrell is making good progress too. This bye is coming up at a time where it kind of gives us a little bit of space here that we'll use when we can for guys in returning, and I'm really excited about the return of Darrell. If he can get back out there with us, I think he's going to be a real accent to what we're doing, and hopefully he can make it the next few weeks. I don't know that.
And then last thing, DJ Reed, who you guys claimed off of waivers at the beginning of the year, is the expectation that he can help you guys at the end of this year, or do you see this as more of a kind of a redshirt year and then he'll?
No, he's going to be back. He looks great running. I've seen him work out quite a bit. He's going to make it back here very soon. I'm really excited about him. He's a very versatile football player, really aggressive playmaker type. He's played corner and safety and nickel. He's played all those spots. So he's an exciting guy to add in. And I think he'll come in competing for playtime. We'll have to figure out what's the best based on what's going on at the time. But I'm not sure what his date is. But he's soon to return though.
Thank you.
Brady?
Hi, Pete. What did you think of the way Cody played yesterday? And also, do you have any update on Jordan Brooks?
Yeah, Cody, got involved with some good stuff. Missed a couple opportunities. Played the most he's played all season, which was good for him to get going. I would expect that that he'll just keep getting better and better as he gets his time. To be able to play the Will Backer spot, which he has spent the most time in preparing, it will really help him, and we're really counting on him to play well. So I think he missed a couple tackles yesterday that he won't miss in other games. I think he'll feel comfortable about making the plays. He's a very heady football player, and I think he just needs to settle in and zero in, and he'll do fine. As far as Jordan, I don't have an update on Jordan today. I'm sorry, I don't have that.
No worries. And in terms of, you mentioned something about the quad measurement for Penny. Is that just measuring muscle mass to see how his leg is?
Yeah, just compare. Yeah, leg to leg. That's one of the things that these guys do: strength and explosion, hops, all that kind of stuff. But also just whatever you call that. Is it a circumference of your thigh? I don't.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
Thanks.
I don't think that's the technical term for that, but.
AJ Sabas.
I don't think that you've been asked about.
He asked you to save us at this point.
It's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but at least I'm unmuted. Just kidding, Greg. So, quick question. I don't think you got asked about Carlos Hyde yet. Could you give us an update on him if you have not, please?
Yeah. Carlos was able to practice all of last week because we had him in a red shirt so he wouldn't get banged on his shoulder, and so he looked fine all week long. But as he got to the weekend, he just wasn't feeling strong enough to go ahead and go. We'll just go at it again this week and take the same approach. He'll be able to practice this week, and which is great. He's not going to lose a step or anything. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That could be one of those ones that if we just wait one more week, then we get the whole other bonus week in there, and we'll have to see. We can't tell. Even though you didn't ask this question, but I thought it was a remarkable return by Chris to get back. We all saw him get turned the way he did and all of that, but to bounce back and play such an instrumental game, for us and on offense in so many ways, scoring and running tough and everything he does. That he really he was thinking that he was going to be in Carlos to carry the load, and then when it turned out that he had to go, he just jumped to the challenge. So he did great.
Art?
I think we're saved.
Pete, there was supposed to be a meeting among NFL officials, coaches, general managers, to talk about the COVID situation going forward. Has that taken place, and is there anything you can share about what came out of that?
Art, you got all the scoops, we have a leak. We have a leak around here somewhere. I'm not sure what it is, Dave.
Reading the internet.
Oh. Yeah, we did have a full-on meeting with the commissioner and the docs and a whole battery of people, talking about what's going on. And there's real concern, to step to the next level of focus, to make sure that we're evaluating our process, and that we can clean it up wherever we can. We shared some ideas about how some people are looking at stuff and how they're evaluating things, and it's really about spacing and tracking, and of course the wearing of masks is it's the same things that we hear, but yet trying to govern it better. There's we're really stricter about it around here, and it's really important to us to do it right. But yet there's more areas for us to be more strict. I addressed the team after that phone meeting that we had to just update them on the concern and how we're looking at this thing, and the league is obviously they're really being tough and forthright about how we should be getting this done. The only way to do this is you have to be disciplined and you have to be strict, and we have to anticipate that everybody that we deal with is really potentially carrying the virus, and so you have the awareness to stay away and to steer clear whenever you can, and you have the option to, and so we have to just stay on it. They're staying on us. We're staying on the players. We're staying on our coaches. We're doing everything we can, and we know that we know how to do it because we've been successful. But that doesn't mean that we have it nailed, because it just takes one person to enter in the program, and that has the virus, and then it's all about how we take care of business once that occurs to minimize the impact. So that's why I'm saying it's such a remarkable situation that happened in New England, that they were able to pull that off, and we need to, hopefully we can learn from them.
Is there any plan to issue revised procedures coming up out of that meeting?
I don't know if that's formally what was done, but they did address a number of issues, and I would think that we'll get notes from the meeting that will, in essence, accomplish that. But part of it is us just monitoring what's going on and doing a really good job of that. The Connexon chip that we wear and all is really crucial, and it does a really adequate job of monitoring it. One of the questions is everybody wearing them in the same fashion around the league so that you get good numbers? We don't know that, but we just do the best we can with it. So, but it's really about being diligent. I mean, it's this diligence that we just have to just be extraordinary. It's part of winning right now.
Thanks.
John Boyle.
Yeah, a follow-up on KJ and the moving positions to the Sam spot. I know in the past he said he's most comfortable at will, and when that's come up, do you move him? So for a guy, a 10-year vet, to do what's best for the team and not be griping about it, what does that tell you about him?
Yeah, he's a perfect teammate. He really is a perfect teammate. When KJ says something, everybody's listening, and he doesn't say a lot, but when he speaks up, which he will when he needs to, everybody pays attention, because he's just has garnered all the respect that you could have, and so when a situation comes up, the team needs something, of course KJ's going to do the right thing, and he's done it time and time. He's been a fantastic Seahawk, and we're lucky to have him. He's really not just survived it. He's excelling in doing great. So it says everything about him, I think, but he's been screaming loudly about who he is for years around here.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Have a good day.